In a world that's always telling us to build ourselves up, to be strong, to be full, what if our true purpose is actually to be emptied? It sounds kind of crazy, I know, but today we're going to explore a timeless parable about a totally different kind of strength, the radical power of surrender, all told through one really remarkable life.
Okay, so the entire story, everything, really hinges on this one powerful metaphor. Think about it. A life that isn't its own master, but is like a piece of clay given to God. It's not about being your own boss, it's about being a vessel. Like a clay pot. It doesn't exist for its own sake, right? It's shaped by a potter for a specific, greater purpose. And that's the core idea we're going to be unpacking here.
So who actually lived this out? Well, the embodiment of this idea is a bishop named Januarius. And his story, wow, it presents such a radical alternative to our world today, doesn't it? We're so focused on self-discovery and personal ambition, finding ourselves. But his story is about a life defined not by what it achieves for itself, but by what it holds for a higher power.
Right, so for him, his true purpose wasn't about achieving personal goals or fulfilling his own ambitions. Not at all. Instead, his life was all about becoming an empty container, just ready and waiting to be filled by something much, much larger than himself.
And you have to picture the world he was living in. It was basically a tug of war between two totally opposite forces. On one side, you had all the noise, the clamor for your own will to be heard, the pull of worldly power. And on the other, this quiet, persistent call of faith. And Januarius, he was standing right in the middle of this conflict. So what happens when this quiet purpose gets dragged into the spotlight and put on trial by those loud, worldly powers? Well, his reaction is probably the last thing anyone would expect. Okay, get this. When he's finally confronted by his accusers, the most remarkable thing is what he doesn't do. There's no grand, eloquent speech, no passionate argument for his innocence. He makes zero attempt to save his own life. This wasn't some desperate, last-minute plea for a rescue. It was the exact opposite. His prayer was a calm, final affirmation of the very purpose he had accepted his entire life. It was the ultimate expression of his identity as a vessel. And here's the prayer itself. This is the emotional heart of the entire story. And just notice the paradox here. This is not a prayer of defeat. It's a prayer of victory, of fulfillment. He's not asking to be saved. He's asking for his purpose to be completed, no matter what it costs him. And that prayer, offered in silence, was answered. This is what leads to the story's shocking and powerful climax, the moment where total destruction becomes the ultimate act of fulfillment. The physical act itself was brutal and final. The vessel, his body, was broken, just as his prior had allowed. This was his moment of martyrdom. This is where that metaphor of living water becomes startlingly real. His blood, poured out, is no longer a symbol of life ending. Instead, it becomes the ultimate offering. His life's purpose is literally poured out for others. So this is the crucial point right here. His death was not a failure. It was the complete and perfect realization of his purpose. By being broken, the vessel fulfilled the very reason for its existence. But the breaking of the vessel wasn't the end of the story, not even close. In fact, it was the beginning of its true and lasting impact on the world. This one single act of surrender just rippled outwards, creating 4 distinct legacies. His life became so much more than a memory. It became a steadfast witness, an enduring symbol of faith, a living source of grace, and ultimately, a ceaseless sign of hope. This captures that core paradox perfectly, doesn't it? By allowing the vessel to be broken, the life it contained, that living water, it wasn't destroyed. It was released. It was set free to nourish and inspire forever. Now, this ancient story isn't just some historical account. Its lessons are so relevant that they've actually inspired a modern prayer, one that translates its message for all the anxieties of our own time. And this prayer, it asks for the same kind of strength Januarius showed. It's really a call to learn how to surrender our own fears, to trust in a purpose that's bigger than our immediate problems, to endure hardship, and to become sources of hope and love for the people around us. And so, this powerful parable turns the question right back to us. If your life is a vessel, what is it meant to hold? What purpose are you surrendering to? In the quiet of your own heart, what is the prayer of your vessel?